Regular meeting of the Civic Events Board. Right now it is 11 a.m., Thursday, February 23rd. Go ahead and start out with public comment. The board takes public comment on all items in the regular agenda. Public input on a regular agenda item will be taken at its appropriate discussion. Public input on an item on the agenda or consent agenda may be identified and requested for consideration by the board at this time. The board may request an item to be placed on a future agenda or for a consent agenda item to be moved to the regular agenda for public comment. And if you don't mind, I'd like to start today introducing our new board member, Ms. Karen Abbott. Karen is going to be representing Single Member District 1. And if you'd like to just introduce yourself real quick and maybe tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. I'm Karen Abbott, and I'm very happy to be here. I live at the lake, and we've been here since 1981. And I'm ready to dig into something new. Maybe a new voice would be good. And learn what this is about and get my feet wet.
Well, we're certainly glad to have you.
Thank you.
All right. Move on to the consent agenda. Consideration of approving the February 23rd, 2017 meeting minutes and presentation of monthly financial report and event calendars. Have y'all had a chance to review those? If everyone's reviewed those, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right. Do we have any further comment? And do we have any public comment? If not, we'll go ahead and take a vote to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Consent agenda passes. All right. The regular agenda. Mr. Walker, if we could, please, sir, could we move item number 4 up to the first to item number 3? Swap those around, please, sir, and go ahead and let's go over the bylaws before we move forward.
Yes, sir. So we'll start off with the Civic Events Advisory Board bylaws. In your packets, you should have a copy of revisions that was made for the bylaws. The first thing, of course, in Article 1, we would like to add a vision statement as well as a mission statement. The vision statement that we're looking at would be to be the preferred host for entertainment, business, and community events in West Texas. And then the mission statement for us would be to enhance the quality of life of our citizens and business partners by providing quality events and facilities in a clean, comfortable, and safe environment. That would be added to the top of the top under for purposes, duties, powers, and conduct. Going from there, we would go to Article 1, Section 2, the duties. The duties should read, the board shall advise the city council on matters of policy and the city manager and his or her representatives on administrative matters regarding the operation of the McNeese Convention Center, Foster Communications Coliseum, that's the way it needs to be read out, where we would be deleting the city auditorium. We'll keep the Bill Ayler Senior Memorial River Stage, Farmers Market, the indoor arena, as well as we would be adding the concrete pavilion and the Bly Arena. What is named the indoor arena?
Yeah, which name should we use?
Indoor arena. She said City of San Angelo Indoor Arena.
So don't use Bly Arena, just, okay. Did you get an extra copy of the package? Please?
Do you need just a...
I had one and left it on the dresser this morning. Thank you.
Anything else on Article 1, Section 2 duties? Deleting the city auditorium, adding concrete pavilion, and the City of San Angelo Indoor Arena.
Deleting Pecan Pavilion?
No, sir, we're adding concrete pavilion. We're deleting.
Concrete.
Okay, we'll add park in there too as well.
We'll make sure what the official name is. Use that.
Fine with deleting the city auditorium.
clarification on that. Now, I know we won't be renting that facility, but will we still be maintaining that facility, being a part of that process? Of the auditorium?
Oh, the auditorium. Not directly, only if we've been asked to assist with different work. So I don't, it's really going to be overseen by SAPAC.
Does that mean our budget no longer will go towards that at all?
Can't hear.
Does that mean our budget will no longer go towards the city auditorium at all?
That's correct. Now, we might have some related expenses if they ask us to assist with whatever work, but those will be reimbursed expenses.
And as far as the Pecan Creek Pavilion, remind me what all we're doing with that. Are we in charge of renting it and cleaning it now, or what?
Right now, we're actually in charge of renting it out, and then we receive a fee just for Ms. Davila's services.
Administration.
Okay, so the rental fee that comes in, does it come to us or does it go to the lake?
That money actually goes to the lake.
The majority does, but we keep the administrative charge, and some of that money does get set aside in an improvement fund.
What are the three ways?
It's $350, we receive $65 for staffing purposes and additional cleanup if we have to go do that. Lake Ops does all the maintenance out there, mowing inside and outside. $185 goes to pavilion rental. Then $100 of that goes to another fund, which is for the upkeep and where we've renovated and done all the upgrades in the kitchen. And then, of course, then we have the insurance charge. So, and we do receive all that. When I do the contract, I split it up on the receipt from there.
We are the primary staff for point of contact for reservations and functionality.
Next, we would have Article 2 for Section 1 in the members. We just changed it from, instead of the board shall consist of 8 members, it says 7 members.
I don't remember why, but at some point the board had 8 members, and back when Mayor New was mayor, he wanted to make sure all the boards reflected, directly the city council member appointments. And that's why it changed from 8 to 7. Okay. But the bylaws just haven't kept up with that change.
Been updated.
And then going to Section 4, term of office, board members shall be appointed for a 3-year term beginning on January 1 would be the change on there instead of October 1 of the year of the appointment. No member shall be eligible to serve more than 2 full consecutive terms. After 1 year off the board, a person becomes eligible to serve 2 more consecutive terms. Any questions on those changes?
No, you're good.
Article 3, for Section 2, special meetings. We actually have a star by this. Upon the request of 4 board members, the president shall call a meeting with no less than 72 hours' notice. Put a star by there because we were in question if it had to be 3 board members or 4 board members for the request.
I was just trying to think of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board bylaws. I don't think we have that clause in our bylaws. The meetings, special meetings are called either by the chair or staff requesting the meetings be held. So I don't know that we've ever used this in practice. I don't know. I'm open. I don't know that it needs to be 4. If you want to keep this, I don't know that it needs to be 4.
I was thinking when I was reviewing it that we were going to back it down. We were losing one one seat whenever we were doing the other article, so I was thinking we went to 4 to back to 3, but whatever it requires, but I would figure 3 would be a sufficient number of people to call in and say they want to have a special meeting.
Right. I guess you would want to avoid just any member wanting to call a meeting, but if you get to that point, it seems like you'd have to convince the board president to hold the meeting anyhow. So I think the board president needs to be part of that mix.
So should we say the board president and 2 other people?
It's up to you.
Okay.
So what if you have 4 other people on the board that is opposite thinking than what the board president is, so the board president decides not to call a meeting?
Mike.
For some reason you're not getting picked up on the mic, and I have a
Okay.
hard time hearing anyhow, so.
Okay, so if the board president's against whatever the meeting's being called for, but you have other 4 members of the board that want the meeting, are you going to put it that the president has to agree?
I don't think it should be the president.
So just any
Yeah.
3 members? I think 4 is too much as a quorum, but I don't know. It's up to y'all. I'm not attached to anything here.
I see what you're saying. I agree.
Okay,
with that.
let's just go ahead and do 3 board members that want to call a meeting can then contact the board president or sit and schedule a meeting, and then the board president will schedule that meeting accordingly. That sound good?
I might not agree with you.
No, I hear you. That's why we have you here, Kayla. Michaela.
Going to Article 3 on the Section 5 for the quorum. A quorum of at least 4 members is necessary to conduct any board meeting. That was basically the change for that. Just be changing from 5 to 4.
Because it was a board
That's
of
what I'm
8. Yeah.
The next article for Section 5, duties and authority of officers. There's the deletion of the secretary, and that was only because, I mean, it is myself, but that just, it already falls upon me. This is the bylaws for the board.
I can't remember the last time this board actually had a secretary. It functioned as a secretary. It's been years. And that function, if it's not served by the board, is served by staff. It's basically just taking minutes.
Okay. Did you skip Article 4, Section 2, I think?
No, that's what we went over with the Jan 1.
Okay.
That was just the full slide.
Which part?
It was he's questioning about Section 2.
Article 4, Section 2.
Yeah, we did that one. I
Election?
read through it. Yeah, that's where I went over to Jan 1,
Okay.
changing to Jan 1 of the year of appointment.
What did we skip?
No, we didn't. I
Okay.
thought we'd skipped.
Okay.
It's
That's
just
just not
talking
wrong.
about, it was the one that he did previously. I wouldn't follow him, no.
Okay, so can we go back to Article 3, Section 7, just because that's not being enforced? So do we want to do something about it?
Termination of board members due to absences.
Any thoughts
can't-
about amending that?
I can't recall a time where y'all missed, somebody on the board has missed 3 meetings.
I mean, that's talking 3 misses 3 in a year. If nobody else thinks it's an issue, I'm good with it, but I just don't.
Well, the thing about it is, I guess what we're saying here is that if somebody does miss 3 or 4 unexcused absences, are we going to have them removed off the board? We want to keep that in there just to kind of have it. If we need it, we'll just leave it.
The point of bylaws is so it's consistent. And maybe we put unexcused. I mean, I
As
don't know.
read through that, with the Section 4 with the attendance, it says that they're excused absences or something, and then this doesn't say anything about it.
Mike.
Excused absence.
Mike.
It's on, and I'm right here. Okay.
Talking about the attendance conclusive of notice.
Yes.
Yeah, does 4 and 7 actually match up?
4 reads attendance by a board member at any regular or special meeting shall be conclusive evidence of receipt of notice of the meeting by that member. Members must attend all board meetings unless they notify the board secretary they will be absent because of personal or family illness, family emergency, funerals, or employment. Absences without notifications shall be considered unexcused.
So if I miss 5 board meetings for work, illness, family illness, this down here, number 7, doesn't say anything about excused absences.
And I think what they were trying to allude to, it almost seems like they're saying, hey, if you have 4 absences for any reason, excused or unexcused, then we have the right to terminate. And I guess that can still go to a vote. Doesn't mean that we necessarily have to, correct? But we can make it to a vote, and that if it doesn't pass it, that the member's not terminated.
That's the way I read it too.
You almost don't need section 4, or take some of it out of section 4, the excused part.
Section 4 almost leads you to believe that as long as you notify someone, it's excused and it's okay.
So couldn't we just add unexcused down here and make it all work together in section 7?
So you're saying delete section 4 and put it into section 7?
No, I'm saying
Or-
leave section 4, but in section 7, any board member who misses 3 meetings in a calendar year because of unexcused absences,
Right.
or who misses 4 meetings in a total calendar year, shall be deemed to have resigned. So,
We addressed unexcused absences in section 4, but they're not even taken into
Right.
consideration in
so
section
I'm thinking if we
7.
just add unexcused before absences as far as the 3, instead of because of personal, family, whatever, or who misses 4 in a calendar year. I still think either excused or unexcused should be put there, shall be deemed to have resigned. Because
And I'm okay with eliminating any unexcused even, either way. Either add unexcused down
They
at the
just
bottom
need-
or take out the top. But they don't match.
but if we have it in there, it can't be this one we're going to enforce and this one we're not going to.
Or if somebody's not here, they're not being productive on the board, replace it, I guess. But so whichever one you want to do, if you want to include unexcused on the bottom on 7, or eliminate the exclusion for excused absences.
I like your idea of adding the unexcused to number
All
7.
right, so how do we want to word 7 then?
Just to add,
Any
like-
board member who misses 3 unexcused, or who has 3 unexcused absences within the calendar year, or who misses 4 meetings total in a calendar year, shall be deemed to have resigned.
I think that'll work.
Does that work?
Yeah, I think that encompasses everything.
Because excused or not excused, if you miss more than 4 in 1 year, you're not being an effective board member.
Correct.
that doesn't
Yeah, so
vote.
just add an unexcused.
Take out all the other.
Do you have those changes?
I'll do it from the meeting minutes.
Okay. Because, I mean, at some point we'll need to take a vote on the amendments.
I think in the same manner that we need to change number 4 and take out the verbiage about notify the board secretary. If we're going to do away with the position of secretary, then we need to change that to read the board president or
Board
yeah,
liaison.
something
Board
other than
president.
the board secretary.
The board president, yeah, change secretary to president.
Works for me.
Simple.
All right. We're on Article 4, is that correct? Eliminating secretary?
Yes.
So replace secretary with president? Is that what we're saying?
Yes. For someone that wants to call in, they'll notify the president.
Do we want to put and/or board liaison?
Typically, it's the staff liaison who makes sure we have a quorum and takes
So-
the,
That's fine.
If you're going to
but
miss,
we report that to the president anyhow.
Article 3, Section 4, under attendance. Since we're eliminating secretary, we're going to add notify the board president or
or the staff liaison, because
or
you don't want to leave that on a
Just the prince.
volunteer that is being the board president.
or staff liaison. That works for me.
We'll go to officers, section 3, the terms. I think that's where we left off at.
So do we have a vice president?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mahaffey was elected last meeting.
Should read, the president and vice president shall serve a term of 1 year in each office. Terms will begin and end when officers are seated and elected at the end of the previous officer's 12-month in office.
Any questions on that part? Okay.
You missed a few months. Do you want to change that to January?
Well, I was just elected, so I get 12 months according to the way it reads.
Are we keeping it the terms that way?
Yes.
Next article for, give me a second, for the standing committees.
Here's my perspective. In the draft, we're looking at the whole section's been deleted. And based on my history, I can't remember the last time these standing committees have been formed and have met. The truth is, the board can create any kind of committee they want to at any time to look at any particular issue, whether it be nominations or facilities, whatever. So you always have that authority to create those committees.
Oh, I agree. I mean, since I've been on the board for, what, a year and a half now, we've never formed any of the standing committees. So I think it'd be a lot simpler if we find that we do need a subcommittee, that we then can just go ahead and form the subcommittee.
So it would be, the president shall proceed over all meetings. In section 5, duties and authority of officers, there's a line where it says, the president shall appoint members of all committees as she deems necessary and shall designate the chairman of all committees.
Which part is that?
That would be section 5, duties and authority of officers.
Article 4, Section 5. I mean, that language is already in there before. And basically, all it says that if we deem that we do need another subcommittee, that we can go ahead and just appoint one without having to have standing committees in the bylaws. I think it just makes the bylaws a little bit more efficient, allows us to do things as we deem necessary.
Any
That it?
questions?
So we'll change Article 6 to Article 5 because we'll just get rid of Article 5, right?
Yes, ma'am. Any questions?
Do we need to
We
go
would
ahead
have
and
to
call
bring
for a
this-
motion? Or do we need to?
Well, I need to go ahead and edit everything first before we,
Yeah, I mean, it would help if we had some sort of recommendation from the board. If this is the direction they want to go with what we've discussed, and then create the next draft to either bring back to the board or to take to city attorney's office for them to review. And if they have any changes, then we bring it back to the board for a final review before we take it to council.
I'll take that direction. Take it to the city attorney next.
When you take it to the city attorney, do you take it with the revisions out?
Yeah, well, we
Yes.
probably
Yes,
should.
I will. Redline it.
And that version that we provide to the city attorney, we should probably copy then the board as well.
Will do.
So do we need to officially make that recommendation?
I'll make a motion, we take this recommendation to legal.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Any public comment? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? All right, so the motion passes to go ahead and send that forward.
Our next agenda item was supposed to be the election of standing committees, but
So since we've eliminated that, can we just go ahead and bypass that, or do we just have to go, do we make a motion that we're gonna?
No,
eliminate it? So we're good?
You can pull it from the agenda. You could pull it from the agenda.
Well, all right, well, I make a motion, we pull that from the agenda then, since we.
Second.
We need a second.
Yeah.
I don't think we need a second,
I don't know that it needs any action.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, fair enough.
If you tell us
We'll-
to pull it, we'll pull it.
We'll make it, we'll let it, okay. What's next?
events and performance account for civic events.
Yeah.
This is a discussion and consideration of allowing an events and a performance account for civic events and recommending matters related thereto. This is an idea that I've been going back and forth with Mr. White as well. It's just an idea to bring more entertainment to the city. Of course, we've had some good luck this year with a lot of our events, and we want to be sure that we can keep the ball rolling and keep events in the Coliseum Convention Center, River Stage as well. The idea behind the events and performance account would be having either a one-day concert festival featuring multiple genres of music, and also as well putting together a music series. Basically, I would like to do a series called the Road to Riverfest, which leads up to our September event, and it would be basically either a free concert or minimal fees for it. This would be at our civic event facilities, or even looking at our city parks. If we did the free, my idea was going to different city parks in the community and just putting on events at each one of these parks to display as well. These events would be self-promoted events for the city of San Angelo as well. If we're looking back in the past of where we've came from, fiscal year 15 we had 3 concerts total, as well as in fiscal year 16 we also had the same 3 total concerts. So far in this year's, we have 7 concerts booked before the end of May, and we're looking at a possible 3 or 4 more as well. So we would be at a total of 11 for this fiscal year. And the idea of having these events would be for sure to have them at the River Stage, which a lot of our promoters, every time I bring a promoter from out of town, they always talk about how underutilized our River Stage is and that they wish they had a venue like that in their city. So this year we've actually been able to get some pretty good events going to the River Stage as well as the Coliseum too. To me, it's very important for us to be able to do this because I want to be able to increase the revenue to help cover future needs for our facilities. There's different things that we would like to do as well with the River Stage that include, having a gate out there to a gate that we actually really need up there, for our bus area and stuff like that, just to keep the traffic going. But little items like that, these are things that I would like to make revenue or get revenue for, so we can actually have these funds to cover these needs for our facilities, as well as bring more entertainment to the city and all the supporters as well. And then this also helps attract other promoters to bring events to San Angelo. One of the things that I have seen is that we started off with maybe 1 or 2 promoters that were interested in doing events in San Angelo. Then all of a sudden we have other promoters now wanting to come and bring their events as well, because they see how well we've handled these events, and also how well the attendance has been for these events too. How we're looking at funding this would be taking $50,000 from the Fund 410 from the hotel motel tax. Also working with getting sponsorship opportunities as well, doing trade outs as well for certain things for these events, and also taking and receiving donations. The process basically would be to ask council for hot money to help cover some of these costs as well, and then the funds received, they'll be put into the events and performance account. I would like for us to put together a subcommittee from the board, and that's how we'll decide on the entertainment. And then any funds that'll be used would be signed off by Mr. Carl White for Parks and Rec Director. Any questions so far?
Okay, I'm just going to start it. Asking for hot dollars for a one-day concert featuring, to me, doesn't meet the requirements for hot dollars, because you would be advertising locally, which doesn't meet hot dollar rules and recs, and a one-day event isn't going to, you're not going to be able to prove you're going to put heads in beds with a one-day event, because it's going to be local.
This would be for plenty of different events. It wouldn't just be for just the one event. It would be to fund multiple events, like the events in the park, as well as the festival event. And I can't say that one event doesn't bring somebody. I mean, if they come for a ZZ Top concert, they're going to stay for one day. We're out of town.
How you're presenting it here as a one-day concert festival
Go back to that slide.
is going to be questioned into whether a one-day concert is going to odds are it's going to be mostly local folks that go to that one-day concert. You're going to be hard-pressed to prove that you're putting heads in beds for $50,000 that you're looking for. And I understand it's more than one that you're looking for, but you've got to meet those steps for it to be hot dollars.
Well, let's take a big name, like we've got ZZ Top, and I think you have the Temptations coming in. Would we be expecting people to come in to sleep overnight?
If you're using hot dollars.
I would.
If you're using hot dollars, the law says that it has to be benefit hotels and the tourism industry.
Well, that's what I was asking. For example, the events that we do have coming up at the Coliseum, do we feel that those are going to bring in hot dollars?
Theoretically, they're supposed to, yeah.
And I think that's kind of what we're leaning towards here, are we not? That if he brings in...
I don't see adding another $50,000 to it. I mean, for something like that.
And if you are going to use hot dollars, you got to track it. I mean, because or not, it will be questioned. I mean, just like CVB, which does promotions and things all the time, they have to track it using. It's just the nature of using that fund. So.
Well, I think on part of one of your slides, you were talking about having a subcommittee, and to me, on the subcommittee, we would definitely be an oversight committee as well to make sure that we're in compliance, so that we can make sure that if we do something like that, that we are in compliance for the hot dollars.
There was a committee that did that, and I guess when we were so far in the red, when we were doing the in-kind support, I noticed on the calendar that the Friends of the Library are coming up next month. We used to have a committee that approved the in-kind stuff, and we haven't been doing that.
All right.
And I don't, do the Friends of the Library, they pay now?
I think we're talking two things right now, because that was a committee that looked at groups that came to us to ask
Wanting
for in-kind
in-kind
support.
yeah.
In this case, just to kind of form out the concept again, is we hired Sid. He's a promoter. He knows how to promote events. He's got the connections. So the thought is, let's use those connections to start self-promoting our own events again. And maybe the one-day concert becomes a two-day concert, so we kind of assure that it brings people in to stay overnight. And then the music series is just to continue to help use the river stage and bring entertainment downtown throughout the year. So maybe some of it's hot and some of it may not be hot money, but the thought is to get some money so we can at least get this going, so sort of as seed money, so that the revenues kind of feed back into it and help keep it going.
After each concert, will that money be reimbursed to that fund?
It depends on how we want to set it up. Some of it could. The facility use fee will go into for operations.
I mean, because we've had concerts here before. We've got people on staff to sell and do that type of thing already. I don't see why you need an extra $50,000 to do it.
Well, I mean, the difference is we mostly have, until Sid's been here, we've mostly kind of been in the receive mode. We facilitate other promoters coming in town to host their events and programs. In this case, we're looking at self-promoting. So in the other case, the promoters take a majority of the revenue because they take the risk. In this case, we're taking the risk in being the promoter, so we keep most of the revenue.
Wouldn't we do that kind of like the CVB does when they, City Council has always told the CVB that if you needed some funds to bring a group in that was going to generate a lot of hotel rooms, it's going to be really good for the city, come to the City Council and they can encumber the funds for it. Wouldn't this be kind of the same thing without, they've never allowed CVB to have a fund for that.
It's the same funding source.
Hmm?
It's the same funding source.
Right.
It is essentially the same thing, but in this case, we're...
If we come up with a promotion idea, I could see coming back and seeing if that's something like that's worth going to City Council and asking them to uncover some funds for it.
Well, the way I envision it is not having to go to City Council every time they want to do something. If we get a fund and you are successful in your promotion of the business and that fund builds, then we can continue doing other events with the fund that is growing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
It's really seed
So
money.
we're looking for seed money
Just
right
to
here to
start
kind
off
of get
money.
this project started. The thing, and I agree with Carl here in the fact that all the civic event managers before this didn't have the skill set that Mr. Walker does. Why not utilize that skill set? And because right now we've got a great concert series going on. The people that have been coming in, ZZ Top and Temptation, all that, that's great. But there's going to be times that we have lulls or we don't have promoters that want to come in. This is going to allow us to continue using the facilities but we've got to start somewhere. And so if we allow him to come in here and just get going, let's just see how it works out and see if we can get that built so that we can utilize the facilities.
I agree with the theory, and I think what you're saying is a good idea. Where my issue with the thing would be using the hot money for seed money. I think seed money should come from other than the hot funds.
You like the concept, you question the funding source.
I really like the concept. The idea of us doing our own one-day shows, two-day shows, whatever shows may be in periods of lull, like he was just talking. I think that's a great idea. Concerts in the parks, wonderful ideas, that type of activity. But my question would be using hot funds to source that. I don't think in a legal aspect, and I'm not a lawyer by any means, but from what I know about the hot funds, I don't think that's the intent of those funds. So I don't think using that as seed money is a wise idea.
It is a legal question. We'd have to double check.
Prove each case individually, yeah.
We did.
Oh,
meet with
so
the ci-
you're okay with the idea, so if we made a recommendation and we ended up passing it, we would still have to prove the legalities of it, and if legal said
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
okay, would you would you be
Yeah.
okay with that?
I mean, we really need, I think the idea is spectacular. I don't think that the hotel and occupancy funding is a great place to get seed money,
unless we can show that
unless we can show that it's
we-
a legal thing and it gets
we
approved.
create it in a fashion such that it would
Yeah,
impact
Yeah.
the hotel tax.
the idea itself, spectacular.
And I mean, the CVB has been shot down for it. They'll watch this and they wanted the same thing.
That's fine. We want to.
A fund to help promote, and that's their only job, is to promote tourism. So anything they do is definitely directly related and definitely a legal use of it. But I know for a fact that they've wanted a fund like that, and City Council preferred not to let them have that fund. And I just
Well, we
I
want to be
wonder
legal.
about the hotel occupancy tax dollars being used for that. If y'all can get a fund set up like that, kind of like we're doing at the Pecan Pavilion, taking a little bit out of every rental and setting it aside to start a seed fund. I mean, that'd be great. I mean, that would.
But also your idea of maybe putting some of the proceeds back, a certain percentage, to repay.
I didn't say a percentage.
Well,
of
not a
it.
percentage, but I
mean,
mean,
that's-
it might.
Putting it back.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
I
like,
just don't like the idea of hot dollars being used for that.
We understand. So we'll look at other funding mechanisms and
Like the silverware fund, the Pecan Pavilion fund. I don't know, are those funds worth anything now? I mean, are they working? I look at Lori because she seems to be the one that tracks it.
This is just me. I'm just being honest. Those little dollars, if we're thinking that we're going to get a concert done with 10,000, it's not going to work. It's just being honest.
And
That's why it's 50,000.
That's what I was going to ask.
You're not. We think that these artists come for 5,000 and 3,000. No, ZZ Top is way up there, more than what we've probably asking for. So the seed money is definitely needed. Of course, I understand we need to figure out if we're able to use that fund, but those little amounts like that, it's going to take us forever to even try to put together a concert or an event.
well, with that being said, then 50,000, is that going to be gone with one concert?
No. I mean, you can get Texas Country and some of the bigger names for less than that, of course.
Okay, so
But-
then how
but-
long would a $50,000 fund last then? I
Well, we
mean,
would hope it'd make money, right?
Yeah,
Right.
So-
that's the goal is
We
for it
take
to
the
The
make
goal
risk.
is that you
We
you
take the
start with
risk.
50 and it comes back with 70 or something,
Right.
a number higher.
So you replenish the 50, I think.
Yes.
That's correct.
So-
we'd have to set that mechanism up so it replenishes the account.
When would this take place? Would this funding come from fund balance initially, this first year, and then you're putting it into the budget for future years? Does that make sense? In other words, when you guys sit down and do your annual budgets, you determine how much is going to CVB, how much goes to the arts, how much goes to civic events.
Yeah, we're looking at seed money. So I mean, the hot
It'd be a
dollars is a
one-time-
question. It'd be one time
One time.
So do you request it from the fund balance this current fiscal year?
if it's legal.
So it's already been allocated to civic events.
Not this money. But yeah, civic events is already the
Theoretically,
holder
it
of
is
those
money
monies.
that has been allocated to civic events. If it's flowed down to the fund balance, then it was allocated to civic events at one time, not
Yes.
specifically for this item. So therefore, you're not taking away from any of the other groups. You're taking out of your own
Your
fund
own
balance.
fund balance, yes.
This is a one-time item that would come in. So to answer that question of putting back into that fund, any over-realized revenue that you generate is going to flow back down to your fund balance, therefore replenishing your fund balance. So theoretically, I love the idea. I think financially, I think it's, hot dollars are going down, and we all know that. And so we've got to look at ways to two things, either cut expenses, which we all know is very tough to do, or we generate revenue. And I think this is a good way to generate
Sure.
revenue.
And I mean, maybe this is something that we do. Maybe this is something that we do that I would like to partner up with the CVB and, get the chamber involved, get them involved too as well to bring this all together. I don't want to just do it under just civic events. I'm looking at this as the bigger scale, as getting hotel rooms, booked and stuff like that as well. It started off as a one-day festival, but can it be a two-day festival? Of course. I know that we can do it and stuff. It's just a matter of getting out there and attacking them and making sure that we get enough funding to put this event together.
Any further discussion?
So, maybe that's one way it could work, is that if we can make sure that it's legal to use the hot money for maybe the larger piece of that event, the 2-day event, and then maybe sponsorships for the
smaller, the city park stuff. Yes, sir.
That might work that way.
Because that's the way I looked at it for the city park ideas and going around and doing that. I would like to get a sponsor that puts together, that event. They're the title sponsor for it and stuff. It's very easy. Little acoustic shows at the park and stuff like that.
Which would be easier to find a local sponsor for that.
Yes.
Now, is this something that we need to take action on today?
I think so. Yeah, you've given us some feedback. I guess
I would take it to legal.
Give us a recommendation if you want us to head down this path.
Real quick while she's walking up, my opinion is take it to legal and determine if we can do this or not before we even approach council and even put it in their mind.
Definitely.
Good morning, Susanna with the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And this is definitely a challenge we face as well, getting more hot tax, and I'm definitely not recommending this or not recommending it. But we look at that as well for like sports. We're looking for more money for sports. How are we going to be accountable for those dollars? So I would definitely love to see them work with us to, if it is going to be hot tax, that we can account for those rooms somehow, or they can work with the promoters to, for us to do the rooms. And I actually was talking to Michaela yesterday. We had Chris, he's putting on the Tracy Bird, Gary Allen concert, and he called me, and it was like so simple. He's like, we need $10,000. And I was like, I don't know that we can do that. And so Abilene is giving him $10,000. These are the things we face when we're competing with other cities for these events, because they can dole out the cash, and we're maybe, a little bit less willing to do that or unable to do that because of the way it's set up. And one of the things I've definitely learned is if we want to be bringing people into the community, we have to have different events. This event in particular that I just mentioned, they're having a concert here May 12th, and then they're having a concert in Abilene on May 13th. And for whatever the circumstances are, the tickets in Abilene are $90 and the tickets in San Angelo are $30. The venue's smaller. We're at the River Stage, so obviously lots of space. So somebody who lives in Abilene may say, let's go to San Angelo concert, a little bit of gas, we'll spend the night or whatever. We, through the CVB, I think we do have the ability to market these events. So we're actually looking at working with our executive board. Dan Koenig, our new chamber president, wants to have a marketing committee so we can look at some of this stuff too and just make sure we're promoting the right things. So I don't know if that's maybe something that needs to happen if y'all go through with this, but it definitely is a challenge, and so something to think about. Those are possibly events that would bring people to at least stay one night. And I think that I know he told me he already has 40 room nights booked for the staff, the promoters, the people coming in. So I would love for us to be able to track those room nights of other people that are coming in. And I see that as something we definitely need to work together, because if he's asking me for advertising dollars and he's asking them for whatever, we kind of need to make sure we're not double dipping. So partnership is definitely important moving forward, and also making sure we're accountable for those hotel rooms and that there is going to be a production for that. So I just wanted to share that with y'all, and if y'all have any questions. Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
I actually have one question. As far as tracking hotel rooms, if I drive in from Abilene, how do you know I drove in from Abilene and I'm staying? I'm ignorant to the process, so
Right.
that's why I'm asking.
And those are actually processes we're working through also. If it's a group then we know somebody's coming. If we're having a convention and, we've made blocks, then we know. If it's just an everyday traveler, then we may not know, if they did come and stay. But one of the things I would love to see is if we could say, for example, we have a sports tournament this weekend and they didn't set up blocks. They asked for pricing, but then they kind of did their own thing. And so I would love to be able to send an email out to all the hotels and say, hey guys, there's a baseball tournament this weekend. Please ask them as they're coming in, what they're here for, and then hopefully we can start tracking that way. If that's really my hope, is that we can start doing it that way, is just letting the hotels know, we know this group is coming, can you please let us know? But at this point, I don't really think there's a way to say, if we get this concert, unless they're asked at the hotel and they say we're here for the Gary Allen concert. So it's something we need to work on.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of wondering the same thing. How do you know?
And that's always tough.
Unless we got CVB at the event saying, did you come in from out of town or something?
Well, now that you mentioned that, if we use hotel occupancy dollars for an event, we need to coordinate with the CVB so that the CVB ahead of time can let the hotels know, as you're asking the people if they're here on business or pleasure when they check in, which events they need to track that weekend. So that can be one of the events that they track that weekend to see if that's one of the things they're doing. So if we can coordinate all that together, I would feel better about it.
And I don't think that'd be a problem. Did you hear what he said? Yeah, I think it's always good when CVB and CEAB work together, because we kind of have a joint interest in everything that we do. So if we can do that.
Well, and our mission is to be the housing bureau. Our mission is to be the housing bureau for all these events, and I would love for us to form better partnerships with everybody that's getting hot money and say, let's show what we're getting for this. As far as hotel rooms, we need to know what the impact is, and we're only going to do that by working together. So, if he has somebody coming and he knows he wants to go for that one, he can tell them this is, work through the CVB to get the rooms. And then, of course, we can try to do our best to get the pickup, and that's another thing we need to work with the hotels to, do that. But I think if we all work together, we can definitely show. I know right now we have 14 million economic impact on the books for 2017, and that's not including these kind of events. So if we are aware of them, and we definitely want to give all the hotels an opportunity to bid on this business, or to say, we have a special rate, come stay at our hotel. So we just really got to figure that out. And I actually had a vendor contact me that I'm going to meet with, and they want to put something on our website. So if somebody is looking for a hotel, they can go through our website, and then it tracks the rooms, kind of like what you're saying, how do we know? And it's a free service. So I'm kind of looking into that, and we just really want to be accountable for those dollars and make sure they're going a long way.
Thank you. Well, I think, like Don said, on the overall, the concept is a great one. Of course, we do have to meet some legalities. Let me get back with you, Steve. What you were saying before is the money's already flowed into the 410 balance. Okay, so if it's flowed into the 410 balance, with your experience, can we use that money in the 410 for seed money?
I mean, as long as it's obviously a threshold is a dollar amount that council has to approve, but if it's in that fund balance, council approves it, and it's legal to use according to the tax code.
And that's kind of how I read it too. That's why I didn't foresee a problem in that. I was kind of blindsided by the legality, because I thought once it flowed in 410 balance, we are using it for civic events, that we'd be allowed to do that.
And that would be my main concern, is that we're not taking off the top, and some allocations are based on percentages. I think flat dollar amounts were switched to at some point in time, but you don't want to take off the top to reduce that total amount to then decrease a percentage to other organizations. Yeah. So I'm comfortable with pulling from the fund balance, which essentially has already been allocated to 410 at some point.
That won't affect the allocations.
Correct.
Yeah, I see what you're doing. Okay.
Yeah, but we need to validate that, correct? I mean, I agree, but we need to make sure that's the way it happens.
I think if they cooperate,
No, I'm glad you're questioning.
Anytime the money is used, if there's a cooperation between different departments there, between the CVB and the civic events, I think that'll eliminate a lot of any of the legality of it.
I
think.
totally agree.
Yeah.
So then what we're gonna do then is we'll table this item until we can check the legality of using the 410 balance, and if we're good with that, bring it back for a vote.
Right, but are we headed down the right direction? Taking the funding source out, are we heading down a good direction you want us
I
to
think
head?
we are heading down a great direction, in my opinion.
That's it.
Okay. I guess make a motion to adjourn? Oh, you know what, hold
Future
on, I
items.
apologize, let me go ahead. In future agenda items, I'm sorry. Okay, future agenda items, one thing that I did want, that I wanted to see, I went to a past event, and I went and saw Don at work and Steve at work, and I'd asked, said maybe the possibility of you guys coming up as an agenda item before even meeting, kind of giving an informal staff event of things that have happened throughout that you did, maybe accomplishments, things that went right, and maybe some things that went wrong, so that we're informed of things that are going on, so that we can either assist you or go to the city council on your behalf to help you in the things that you do. I know that sometimes you run into some things that are frustrating for you, but if we don't know about them, we can't do anything about them. So if we could make an agenda item so that we start having a staff report at the beginning of every meeting.
Okay, we'll
I
start
thought
there.
about that when I looked at the calendar. And when you were mentioning how many events in 2017 compared to 15 and 14, 16, 15, whatever in the past, something about like having the public events have a list available for us or somewhere, or maybe even on the website or something. Just all of the public events coming up, that like the concerts and circus.
So you're talking
and all
about,
of
would you
that.
like it like in a slide and stuff, whatever events that we have coming up?
Something easy
and
for people
discuss
to
it?
see.
Okay.
What's coming up? I mean, you don't want to put so-and-so's family reunion, things like that on there.
Just a public event.
someone's wedding
Same
or
like how I
something, yeah.
give to you that report that I give to you.
Exactly. Yeah, so a copy of the calendar, then a list of what is pending,
Highlighted events.
whether it's booked or pending.
We don't normally put out the pending events because promoters definitely don't
So
like
just
that.
the booked ones?
Yeah, it's just the book ones.
Okay.
You get the promoters to be.
Yeah, don't do pending.
You can't.
That's a good
Yeah,
point.
that's not good.
Just the booked ones.
Okay, and we get the calendar like for March, okay? One of the last meetings, I left here, and the next day or two, somebody said, "Oh, I heard we're getting, so-and-so's coming to town, a concert." Well, it was beyond the next month, and that wasn't, I just left the board meeting, and I didn't know that was happening.
Hearsay happens
So,
all the time.
Like you say, if we can get a report like that.
Right.
And for like some of these events that you hear about, to be honest with you, like the ZZ Top, we didn't even get a chance to put it out first. Go San Angelo puts it out. It just goes. It comes out when it comes out. We try to organize it that way for it to be put out a certain way, but a lot of times we can't control that. The promoter's
Right, 'cause they
gonna
got
talk to
outside
somebody,
promoters.
and they're gonna talk to a radio person, or they're gonna talk to somebody with TV, and then it's all out there.
In City Hall?
There's leaks. I'm telling you.
And another thing, but it won't be the next meeting, but the meeting after that. We're probably, I'd like to go ahead and move forward when we go out and do our reviews of the facilities, because the cycle of that is such a long time. Of course, we'll meet here next time, but maybe in April, we'll go ahead and take a look and start going out and doing our facilities inspections. That way, it gives us plenty of time to get things done. Like, for example, when rodeo comes around, if there's any recommendations, we can have those things done.
Would you be opposed to meeting a second time during the week or during the month?
I
and going
am
to-
not opposed to that. As a matter of fact, that was one of my ideas, is actually, we might go as a board to the major ones, the convention center, the Coliseum, and the River Stage, and we can, maybe we can do a subcommittee to go do the other ones or something.
Or just, we could all go to this meeting on a certain day, put a notice out
Yeah.
that there may be a quorum.
That's fine.
But we aren't going to really discuss anything
Yeah.
other than
And that-
information.
What you're trying to do is avoid wasting a meeting where we go
Yeah,
out and
yeah.
inspect
Yes.
that and then talk to,
Yeah.
I have.
We
Because
could
we've
do
done
it
this
in early
before, and the
April.
meeting really doesn't,
Right.
we don't get much done at the meeting.
If we hold business, we should do it here because it's recorded.
Right.
That too, yeah. When
And I
we
think
meet out there,
have-
it's not recorded, there's not a good record of the meeting.
If there's a time where we don't have much on the agenda, maybe that's the time where you inspect, or you can add a meeting to inspect.
Okay, and I think you were saying add a meeting, is that correct?
Yeah, just add a meeting, and it could, I mean, we could visit the River Stage and something else on the same day. You know, go from one place to another real quick.
We still would
two places that are
have
closest.
to put
Go to the
notice of it.
Coliseum and the.
And we'd be okay, that wouldn't constitute necessarily a meeting, is that correct?
We just have to
It
notify
would,
the.
it would, because you'd have a quorum or more.
That,
If you did it in a smaller group.
so if we
groups,
did
then it
if we did a subcommittee that can report back to the group, then we're okay. If we do like a three-person
Yeah, a
subcommittee,
subcommittee would be.
Sure, if you had a subcommittee that just looked at facilities,
and then come back,
exactly.
and
You
recommend
could do
to the
that.
board.
Everyone needs to see it. And all it
That's
is
how I
putting
feel.
out notice of a
Right.
possible quorum,
You
right?
still, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
gonna meet here at
it's-
this time, this date, and there's probably gonna be a quorum.
Essentially is a public meeting.
the public
it's
wants to be
four
there.
More of you.
If there's a quorum, it's a public meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
last time we did the inspections, that's the same thing we did. Because I still put it out as a
Right.
quorum, a meeting and stuff. I still had to do all the legalities for it.
Right.
But we made
So
it
it's
simple
fine.
because we didn't really conduct any business then.
Right.
It was just a tour.
It just says they were meeting at.
Okay. All right. That'll work.
That way, when Sid says we need a new roof, you can actually crawl up on the roof and look at what this is. I mean, anybody that wants to go up and look at it, or,
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
you know,
I'd like to make one comment
Okay.
before we take off. I want to express gratitude towards the Civic Events staff and the park staff for everything that they did during the rodeo. These last few weeks, I see Steve, Tibby, all those guys kind of in the background. The parks guys help, trim trees and just make it look great out there. You hear a lot of public comment and outsiders that come in for these events, and it makes us proud to see all that come to fruition and know that there's a lot of guys working in the shadow and background. So again, thank you guys for all that you do out there.
I agree.
It's all on Steve and the
ditto that.
staff.
I agree. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted them to kind of start coming up, so that we can hear some of the things that they do, All right.
from a hotel standpoint, you see the people checking in and stuff, and they're always impressed with San Angelo, always.
It's good.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
All opposed? Or all in favor?
Aye.
No, we want to stay.